were being advertised at the time when we were going for elections. This time we had engagements from the year 2020. And through a job description analysis committee, where I sit, Commissioner Rachel Ameso sits, Honorable Senator Aaron Cheriot, and also now the member for Anapkoi, Chepkonga. We were sitting together with our technical team being led by Senior Deputy Clerk Mohammed, where we sat together, and a very vibrant team of our technical team, working together with the technical team from the SRC. We had to undergo some training in the year, in October, I think, October 2020. And before then, we had prior engagements with the SRC, being led by the chairperson of the 5th Commission. And a lot of work has gone into that. Some people might be wondering, why is Mheshimiwa Naomi Dr. Naomi carrying all these volumes? This document is a document which describes, gives a description, job description for members of parliament and senators, this one, and other state officers like our clerks, this document. Then this one also is the one which gives job descriptions for all our 359 cadres of our staffers. This was a lot of work. People had to work day and night to make sure this was achieved, because we were given timelines of this. In the past, they would just lift what is in the SRC was just lifting what is in the Constitution without understanding how Parliament works and what is the mandate of Parliament. When you lift it like that, it looks a very simple thing, yet it is very, very complicated. Parliament is a very different institution, because it is not like any other institution in the country. And most people have a problem with understanding how Parliament works. What do members of Parliament do? Do they just come to Parliament and talk, impress their constituents? Or what do they do in the process to make sure that they carry out the mandates that they have? And members of Parliament, parliamentarians, that is both of MPs and senators, have got a very heavy mandate that it took a long time for the SRC to understand what kind of work parliamentarians are engaged in. And in getting the job description, because this is the only place where you'd find a mixture of people from the grassroots who people have trusted that they can come and legislate on their behalf and represent them at the national level, up to the level of professors. So we explained to the SRC that the issue of representation is a very complex issue. It's not as simple as they think it is. So over the last so many months, up to the time there was a Gazette notice, a lot of work has been done, and even then, it is a continuous engagement with the SRC to make sure that our people, our constituents, because as PSC, we look at you as our constituents, because we represent your matters concerning welfare and facilitating you to be able to carry out your mandate. And it came out in the Gazette notice, and the Gazette notice had quite a number of, there were some gains, but there were also issues that were toned down, and some of them we toned them down deliberately, and some of them they were toned down by SRC itself. But again, like I'm saying, it's a continuous, we are still progressively working on those issues. And I must say, even the meeting we had yesterday, and we left our technical teams after after directive from the chairperson of our commission and also the SRC, to meet and thrash out certain things. But I just want to quickly just say what are the issues that we have had gains. One, we had gains where the salary does not start where it was before, where it was in the last Gazette notice, because they kept on insisting and putting up, because that is what they came with, and insisted that we should go back to that Gazette notice, and we were able to explain and get ourselves out of that quagmire. And they agreed that the entry point, you've seen the figures, the 710, that is the entry point. I also want to just mention the people who are worried, members are worried that maybe we've lost the vehicles. We have not. We came up with a description of motor vehicle reimbursement. Now, one of the issues that we needed to discuss with the SRC, and which was actually thrashed out yesterday morning, and I know Chairman will be able to give further details, is this reimbursement, what does it mean? And we were able to agree, and they said they would give us a letter to that effect, a circular to that effect, that this reimbursement will be done administratively. In other words, the Parliamentary Service Commission plus our accounting officers will decide on how it's going to be done. Of course, we've discussed it, and I don't want to give you the details at this point. Chairman himself will do that. And the other issue that I know was the other question was, how do we maintain these reimbursed vehicles? How do we maintain them? So I just want to inform you that you will maintain them like how we've been doing in the past. I think you understand what I'm saying? You don't? You're not here in the past. Oh, yes. In the Senate, you're not here in the past. The motor vehicle usually is maintained by yourselves. But in the past, there was a tribunal that was formed to relook at matters concerning members. And it was decided that being state officers, members, parliamentarians are supposed to be facilitated with vehicles. And that's how the car grant came in. It started at 3 million, then it was improved to 5 million. And today, I can tell you, it's 7.55 million after the engagements that we've had with SRC. This vehicle, because it should have been a GK, members should have been given GKs plus drivers plus everything. But when the calculations were being done, they realized it was impossible to be able to maintain these vehicles. So the commission engaged government then, and even there was a suggestion from the tribunal that members must be given, be facilitated to be able to maintain these vehicles. And that maintenance of the vehicle is 356,000 in a month. And it is what you will use to maintain your vehicle, considering Kenya is 80% ASAL, and most of the movement in those areas with a poor road network, maintenance of our vehicles is very, 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 very severe, I would say, severe. Yes. And apart from that, there was also another issue that we kept on engaging the SRC on. And here we made a small loss, but again, we are still discussing it. they insisted on reducing the vehicle capacity to 3,000 cc's. But Kenya being ASAL, mostly, over 80%, being ASAL areas, people having to move into areas which are very insecure and all that. On our side as PSC, we have insisted that we must maintain the capacity of a vehicle that can be able to run in those areas. I just wanted to give you an example. I come from Taveta is not very far from Nairobi, but you have to go through the expansive, the very expansive Savo, and sometimes we even have attacks of bandits and all that, and it's quite a dangerous area to travel, and somebody needs to have a vehicle with that kind of capacity to be able to run through those areas. And now you cannot say, because there is a member who comes from Kiambu and there is a member who comes from Nairobi, they have to be disadvantaged because they don't come from the ASAL areas. I just want to say, ASAL is all over most of the places, including Kiambu here. We have in the Deia division, a very tough area to operate. So that cuts across that in Kenya, all members require vehicles with higher capacity. The ones who can be able to get vehicles with a bigger capacity should be able to do that, because even the facilitation that we're being facilitated with might not be enough. Most of the members usually top up to be able to buy the kind of vehicle that is needed to be able to carry out their mandate. Again, on the issue of the capacity of the car, I would want to say that is still work in progress. Our technical teams started engaging yesterday. We've been engaging SRC all through, but during the campaign period, we stopped the engagements. But again, these started yesterday, and I am sure soon the chairman will be saying something very positive about that. The other issue that I just wanted to point out is, I know members do work, mostly they work in committees. And because members do work in committees, plenary sessions is where we usually come and we debate on the reports that have been brought, on the bills that have been brought, yet most of the work goes on in committees. I just want to say, as much as there is a lot of work which goes on in committees, if the committee sittings are capped, then it makes it impossible for members to be able to carry out their most important mandate of legislation. So again, the issue of having 16, maximum of 16 sittings of committees is an issue that also I know will be trashed properly, because we were able to explain to them that they cannot cap, because it's like telling us you cannot do your work beyond this. I just want to also say there's been an issue where they removed the plenary sitting allowance, and it has been a worry to members, because we know we will have a problem of quorum. But apart from having a problem of quorum, members, I just want to remind you, during the plenary sessions, we usually convert ourselves to what you call committee of the whole. You know that, isn't it? So what now we are engaging in is to just remove the capping and the ceiling on the number of sittings, so that all the committees will be put into consideration, because committee of the whole is not a plenary session, but it's a committee. So again, for the new members, so that members can be well covered, as you heard the chairperson yesterday had said it in Safari Park, that he will not sit back and watch members suffering when they're supposed to be carrying out their mandate. There is the issue of the DSA. Our per diems this has been a war for many, from the time SRC came in, it has been there. That every time they would come up with, without knowing that most of the meetings that members attend are meetings which, you know, outside foreign meetings and conferences, where you have many meetings at the UN level with member states attending from all over the world, and accommodation is usually a thorny issue in those areas. So we are able to explain to them, and our technical teams should be sitting down to thrash out that one. They started yesterday, but I know after these induction sessions, they'll be going on, and I think some of them might even have to leave, to go, maybe leave you here and go to have further meetings to discuss this particular issue, because we've also been given timelines by the chairperson, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, our chairman, has given us timelines on when this should be cleared, this particular issue should be cleared. But I know it is something that is doable, because it's been doable in the past. It is something that is doable, and I'd want to know by the time I exit this commission, I pray and I hope that these are things which should have been cleared. Because having been a minister, I know when you're a minister, you are lucky, because when you go there and in New York, you're supposed to pay $800 per night. And when I was a minister for gender, I would travel to New York for meetings and leading a delegation of members, and I would travel to New York in meetings for disability, for the matters concerning social development, concerning children, concerning gender. I would travel there 5 times in a year to New York alone. And you know, I was just one minister traveling there 5 times in a year. So the other ministers would also have, now CSs, would also have, and leading delegations, and members of parliament also being led by leaders to those areas. And because of the influx of visitors and delegates to those areas, it becomes very, very expensive. When you are ministers, and I think Professor Kamar can remember that, and even a Right Honorable Speaker can remember that, sometimes you're forced to just ask the ministry to pay because from your DSA, we couldn't afford. It was way beyond what you were supposed to be paying. And nobody would want to see members staying in some backyard hotel somewhere because of lack of facilitation. So the PSC is striving to make sure that all members would stay somewhere near where the Right Honorable Speaker would be staying, not far from where he is, or even within the same hotel, so that they are treated equally. The county, now I just wanted to say, what we have also achieved in these engagements with the SRC is that we've been able to be raised from the level of E5. Members are now at F1. F1 is the level of the judges of the Court of Appeal. So we are also asking, our entry point, I know, is a 710, but if we are in F1, we are also engaging SRC that we deserve to be given the notches. Members deserve to be given the notches, like how the judiciary is enjoying those notches. And I think that, again, is work in progress. And I can't see us not making it, because as our chairman has said, members are ATMs, they are undertakers, funeral undertakers, they are medical providers, they are bursary, walking bursary equipment, you know, where people can just pressurize you and money would come out and all that. We do a lot of social work. We do a lot of welfare, social welfare. And even that one, you cannot do it just like that by word of mouth. You do it from your pocket. So I think, again, we should be able to explain. And even now, following Corona in this country and all over the world, our economy has gotten some battering, especially after the post-Corona times. During Corona and post-Corona, we are just on the recovery. I know how difficult it is for you who've just been elected, because I lost my seat on the 8th, but to tell you the truth, by 10th, I was already dealing with people who wanted to get assistance from me. And you can see there are people who really require that assistance, because it's either a child will not go to university, or a child will not go to school, or there is a sick person, and you have to deal with those issues without looking the other way. Notwithstanding the fact that, they already know you've lost a job. So for you people, you have even a bigger responsibility, because the problems are there, they are real, these are our people, and we cannot run away from that fact. Normally, people would argue that how comes in the developed countries this is not done? But in the developed countries, nobody comes to their member to ask for school fees. Nobody comes to a member to ask for medical help, because all those things are done by their countries. So we are still engaging the SRC on that. The other issue that I wanted to just point out, we came from a level that you had our secretary of the commission stating that we did not even have offices. I remember when I was first elected in 2002, in 2003, I had to give 20% of my salary towards running a constituency office. I think I was one of the few who had constituency offices, because I knew I cannot be able to just carry out that mandate without having help from the constituency level. But today, we have county and constituency offices being run by our managers, and for salaries and wages, we have about 811,000. I think you've seen it in the small booklet. And we also have 659,000 for office administration. The amounts of money which are attached to these offices for paying rent if you do not have any office. But most of the people all over the country, most of the people, especially members of parliament, because with the CDF, they've been able to build offices. And of course, there are some members who would want to decentralize and not have just an office in one place. They would have offices in other areas because of the very long distances that people have to walk to the office that they've kept in one place. So they might be forced to rent, and I think some are already renting in other areas of their constituency or of the counties. Now, as chair of the mortgage committee and car loan facilities, we have two types of mortgage. We have mortgage which is administered. The administrator is a clerk of the National Assembly, and it has membership from both the commission and membership from the leadership of the two houses, where we have, I think, the whip, the leader of majority, the leader of minority, and on both houses. And it also has, for the staffers, they've elected their own representatives who sit there, but also we have all our accounting officers are sitting in that mortgage committee. This mortgage committee, which I chair, I think you've been given the ceilings of how much money you can get as mortgage or as a car loan to facilitate you to be able to settle down. Members, I just want to say this. As much as we come from areas where our people all have problems, all Kenyans have their own problems, please remember, as you are taking care of their welfare, please take care of your welfare too. Take care of your welfare. One of the ways that I found very useful, and I can share this with you, is as we are going along, I realized whenever I just say I'm doing some saving in my savings account, I would actually withdraw the whole of it and give it out. because it's available. You know, you go to the ATM, or you just go over the counter, or you just give a check